Hi everybody and welcome to the Mental Toughness and Body Show. My name is Rob Evans and I'm your weight loss coach, health strategist and internationally published author, helping take your life, your business, your health, fitness, body and mindset from where you are right now to where it is that you want to be. And here on the Mental Toughness and Body Show, I really like to push the boundaries of your thinking so that we can move our lives from where we are to where it is that we want to get to. And today I have a bit of a conundrum for you because I think that we all believe we're right. Okay? The way that we live our lives is right by us. And whatever it is that we're doing, generally speaking, we think is right. The way that we eat, the way that we exercise or don't exercise, the way that we work, where we work, the career goals that we have or don't have, how we raise our kids, or if you don't have kids, the pets that you have, how you raise your pet, where you shop, the clothes you wear, the brands you like or don't like, how you believe we should be treating the environment or otherwise, you name it. We all think we are right based on our values and belief systems. And where it becomes challenging is when somebody else challenges your values and beliefs. And where you see this, the most impactful and the most emotional, and when it happens amongst your intimate partner, where there's a conflict there. And a lot of the time that can come around the raising of the kids. One of you may have an idea as to we need to raise the children this way, going to this type of school, this religion, this type of discipline or no discipline, these types of consequences or rewards or whatever it is for you. Some people still like to hit their kids, and other people will say, no, we don't do that at all now because of how the world has changed and corporal punishment, all that kind of thing. Some people believe in, I'm not talking about the kids now, but some people believe in capital punishment still. It's still law in some countries around the world, and others don't. I mean, we all have these different values and beliefs, and it can often trigger some very, very emotional conversations with people. I mean, just look at COVID right now. I did a post recently about COVID, and it gets people coming out of the woodwork. People talking viciously about how it's a scamdemic, or how it's all about the pharmaceutical companies, or it's about the government and the media that is misrepresenting information and all that kind of stuff. It can be really, really aggressive about it, and that can put a lot of people off. I mean, I'm the sort of person that believes in choice, okay? And everybody's got an opinion, and I'm open to listen to other people's opinions. I mean, I'll give you a good example. Scientology. I am not a Scientologist. I don't really have a religion that I follow at all, to be honest. I mean, I was baptised in a Uniting Church in Bendigo in central Victoria when I was a baby. My mum was a civil celebrant. I believe I'm spiritual, but I wouldn't say I'm religious at all. But let's take Scientology. I look at Scientology and say, I'm just curious about the people that follow Scientology, and I'm interested in to know what it is about Scientology that attracts people. Why do they believe that this is something that they really want to follow? And yes, you see a lot of the celebrities. Tom Cruise is big in it. There's John Travolta. There's others as well. And I'm just intrigued as to what is it about that particular, I mean, if you want to even call it a religion, a following, that attracts so many people to it. Curious. And so I just have a curious mind as to what drives people to make certain decisions. I'm not aggressive against those things. It's just that I have a curious mind. I'd be really interested to know a little bit more about that. What do they do? What makes you make that decision? Because it's about the mind. And I love studying the mind and people's decisions. Where it can become really challenging is that where you can see that somebody needs to make a change. but that person will not change. That person is just adamant that they're not going to change their ways. And how do you deal with that? It becomes really tricky, because let's just say that it's your intimate partner. No, let's not go there first. Let's say it's your, like just a friend, a colleague, and they have this very strong disbelief about what you're saying. They just don't believe that it's valid. It's wrong in their minds. Now, that could be such a big thing for you that this car's just, I'm sorry, I'm in the car. This car's just done the wrong thing and cut off in front of me. That could be such a big thing for you that you want to cease the friendship because the person is maybe aggressive about it. Maybe you start to then notice other things about them that you really just don't like. There could be a whole range of things. And in some cases, it can be easy to just terminate that friendship and say, look, you know what, I just don't want to hang around with that person anymore. And I'm sure you've all had acquaintances in the past that you now no longer have anything to do with. And I think that's just a normal part of life. In some ways it can be sad, but look, not everybody is growing in your trajectory, and as you, if you're like me, you continue to grow and continue to aspire to surround yourself with those people that you want to be like, then sometimes those people that you are with don't necessarily get that. And they think that you're changing and moving in a different direction. And I don't know, I mean, I've always liked to think that I'm moving upwards. I'm always growing, always looking to make connections. And sometimes that means that you look back every now and then and you find that you are actually spending a lot more time now with a completely different circle of friends. And these are maybe more high achievers than you used to hang around with. They're people that have the type of mindset that you really enjoy. They're more successful than you, and you want to learn from them. But I know that I've moved my life in that direction, and sometimes it's just that you just don't hang out with people that are negative anymore, or don't particularly support what it is that you're doing in your life and that kind of thing, and you just want to change. It certainly happened to me. Then it might come to your intimate partner and you say, well, this one's a lot more difficult because you're going to stay with your partner. And so you've got to find some way to compartmentalize those differences so that it doesn't create a bigger issue for you. And sometimes it can ultimately mean that it ends a relationship because there may be a series of things where you just don't agree. And you feel that the person needs to change and they don't want to change. And so you find out, well, you change the relationship and you leave it. I don't know, that's happened to me in the past. And that I don't say that to boast by any stretch of the imagination, because there are some instances where I really examine myself and say, wow, am I a weaker person because I haven't been prepared to go through certain things? And look, the only advice I would give you, never go into a relationship of any kind hoping to change a person, because the person doesn't want to be changed, the person doesn't necessarily need to be changed. You just need to accept the person for who they are and be happy with that. And don't change the rules when you're in the relationship and say, well, I thought you were going to change and now you didn't. Well, that's like someone coming to you and say, okay, I'll be in a relationship with you, but you need to change, you need to do this. Ultimately, that's probably not going to work at some point. Doesn't mean that you can't work through some of these issues, but I think you've got to have an open mind and just realise that don't try and change people in your relationship. Choose wisely. Like Dr. Phil says, find that partner where you've got 80% of those things that you want, that are must for you in a relationship, and build the other 20% to get you 100% in what you want in a partner. The other one where it's more difficult and you can never leave them is your kids. And if your kids don't want to change and you know that they need to for their own welfare, And this is the situation with me at the moment with my daughter being in hospital. And I'm not going to go into the details of what's going on for her, but she needs to make some changes. Otherwise, she'll be medically unwell. And that's why she's in hospital. But she's adamant that she's not going to change. And so how do you deal with that? Well, as a parent, I'm learning to see how I do cope with that, because no one ever wants to see their child in a battle, struggling, not understanding what's going on in their life and how to defeat certain obstacles that may lay in their way. It's really tough. And look, I record the Mental Toughness and Body Show. I've been coaching people for years to completely change their life, but I'm yet to have a breakthrough with my daughter in this particular area. It's really, really difficult. Does that mean I'm giving up though? No, it doesn't. I will never give up. Never. And I can't walk away. Well, I could just say, oh, well, forget you. Your mum can take care of you. I'm just, leaving. But a real dad wouldn't do that. You've got to be there for your kids. You've got to try and support them and help them in the best way that you can with the resources that you have available to you. But my message here today is, let's be open. Let's be open to the fact that you are not always going to be right. And because we can't be, can we? There's a car accident, let's say, and both drivers get out and they're arguing that they're both right. They can't both be right. Somebody didn't give way. Somebody didn't brake. Somebody was speeding. Something. They can't both be right. But they could swear black and blue that they were both right. And you could say the same thing for so many different things in life, but you can't always be right. This, for me, is probably where I started to get some of my own early learning and realizing now, looking back, that I'm a real left-brain thinker. And this is why I was drawn to things like maths and accounting, because there's always a right way and a wrong way. It was very black and white. Maths, there's a formula. Use the formula, get the answer. Don't use the formula, you may get the answer, but if you use the formula, you should get the right answer, always. And I liked that. But life is not like that, is it? Our minds don't work like that. You can't say, well, if I always do this, I'm always going to get this outcome, so therefore that's the right way to do it. Most of us come up with these stories for ourselves to say, well, okay, I'm driving on the freeway right now and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 cars in front of me that I can see on this side. There's about 20 on the other side of the road that I can see going the opposite direction. People in every single car, and they all believe that where they're going right now is the right place to go. They all believe that they're thinking about the right things to eat, the right careers, all of that. They think what they're doing is right in most cases. And that can be fine for them. But I just want you to be open, because I haven't always been open. I have come from that mindset from years ago of the maths and the always, I guess, conditioning myself to right and wrong, right and wrong. It's as simple as that. And so if people are presented to me, I'm like quickly judging, you're in or you're out kind of thing. I like you or you don't, or I don't. And so I'll spend time with you or I won't. And I found that the judgment also came from my family around me. Like mum and dad were quite judgmental, making fun of a lot of people, very, very judgmental at conversations, and we'd have a lot of laughs and that kind of stuff, and we'd sort of connect over some of those things. But over time I found that that wasn't really the way that I wanted to go forward in life, because it didn't feel right to be talking about people all the time and maybe making fun of people and doing those things. So I started to realize in myself that if I was right all the time, why am I not where I want to be? And I gradually realized that, well, it's because you're not always right, mate. You're just not. And as I started to get coaching, I started to realize even further that, yeah, you're just doing it the wrong way. And how often have you grasped an idea and said, I'm just running with this because it's a shiny object, it's my next big thing, and people tell you that it's wrong, and you say, well, I'm going to keep fighting it anyway, and then your coach tells you it's wrong, but you keep running with it anyway because it's something that you're not going to let go because it's a deep, passionate thing for you. I've done it before, but then I've realised that you're fighting a losing battle here, and it's time to let go sometimes. You just need to let it go. And sometimes I can be really reluctant to do that. Sometimes you just got to let it go. But where you get the breakthrough is when you realise that you should be open to new ideas. Because what happens when you're open? More opportunities are available to you. You see the world differently. Like right now, again, if I use this metaphor of the freeway, when you think you're right, you're just driving in one lane. And what happens if you always drive in the one lane? Well, at some point, you're going to get into a traffic jam. But if you're driving in multiple lanes, so there's 3 lanes in front of me right now, I could go into one of 3 lanes to try and avoid some traffic. Maybe it's to avoid some danger. Maybe it's to avoid an accident. Maybe it's to speed up. Maybe it's to slow down because there's trouble coming behind me. But what I'm doing is I'm open to the other 3 lanes. I'm not just focusing on this one lane. I'm in the middle lane right now. I can go left or right. I find that most people aren't open. Most people can be, if you like, stubborn, for lack of a better word, and just believing that their way is the right way and there is no better way. I see this a lot with exercise. One of my really good clients who's been training with me for over 6 months, just over 6 months now, he's achieved some phenomenal results. He's probably a bit ADD or ADHD, and he likes to research to the nth degree about anything. And that can be a double-edged sword because he watches a bunch of YouTube videos about nutrition and exercise, and he follows people that aren't necessarily doing the right things. And I spend so much time through the week having some good discussions with him, but it's also about trying to dispel these beliefs that he has in his head about, well, this is the way to do it. And every week he'll come in with a new thing. Or maybe I should do it this way. Maybe I should do it that way. And last night we had like a 20-minute discussion after his session about how he needs to be eating. And he's worried about the calories and counting the calories and stuff. I said, don't worry about the calories. Just stick with this much protein, this amount of plant-based food, this much high-energy food. Just consistently do that. Let your body do this and explain physiologically how things work. But there are so many people that believe that their way is the best way, and that is to basically over-exercise, under-eat, feel like they're going to get the weight loss that they want, and don't understand when they're not getting that outcome. Don't you be like that. I've been doing what I'm doing now for over 30 years, 33 years, and yet I still, every day, I'm looking for opportunities to get more knowledge, to grow myself even further so that I can become a better coach, I can become better informed. And maybe it's just something like reading an article of some latest research that's come out. And I want to be across that. Why? Well, it's the latest research. Let's see what it says. Is it something completely new? Is it something that's just reinforcing an old, something old that I knew about? Am I going to get people, my clients, asking me about it? In which case, great. I just need to understand what it's about so that I can have a healthy discussion with them. Simple as that. The point is that I'm open to new ideas. I look at latest diets and things like that. I mean, I look at keto, I look at intermittent fasting, I look at paleo, I look at a whole range of different things, making sure that I've got at least an understanding of what's going on. Because this changes all the time. And I want to make sure that people don't start doing crazy diets just because it's the latest thing. And maybe there's a celebrity that's come out and said, oh wow, look at this. They look like that. They've been doing this, therefore I'm going to do it. Okay, that might be fine for them. They're going for a movie role and stuff. But sometimes the photos, the images, the message can be misconstrued, and it's not necessarily the right thing for you. So if you are open to listening to new information and open to accepting the fact that you may not be right in doing what you're doing right now, be open, be coachable, then I think you'll find that you can get some completely different outcomes today. Now, I'm hoping that I do get my daughter to have some breakthroughs. I'm hoping that I can get her to be open to being coachable and to dispel the stories that she's made up in her head about certain things to do with health, and we can get her to make a change. Right now, that's not going to happen. She's not in that place where she's willing to change. So if somebody doesn't want to change and they're not willing to change, newsflash, they won't. So we've got to be patient sometimes. But I just encourage you, if you're in this space right now, I want you to just give yourself a little barometer of check and say, gee, are you really open right now? Are you open to being coachable and change across all areas of your life? I know I can still be stubborn on certain things, but I practice being open so I can hear the other person's perspective and not being judgmental and say, you're wrong, I'm right. There's always another view. It doesn't matter how thinly you slice something, a piece of cheese or whatever, there's always two sides. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and if you want to connect with me, you certainly can. Even though we're in lockdown, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, go to the mentaltoughnessandbodyshow.com, opt in for your free consultation there. Let's make 2021 your best year yet. See you tomorrow.